maybe back in the day when, she'd be betrothed to me and we give her family 4 cows for her, for her ring, whatever. Then we never met each other or something, we're both virgins. Like, I think that's like when things are going to change when you get married, you carry her over the threshold of your brand new house that you just bought the day you got married or something like that. Like, those days is over. So like,
those are so over.
Yeah, I think the expectation of change should have gone away with, whatever era that was. All right, what's up?
Let's start here. This just happened. Bam. What?
Yep.
You got married.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So congratulations.
Yep.
We were so happy we were there for it and could be a part. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. The show's advisory mode. I just want to talk about what your expectations are. What happens next? How do you see the world a week after getting married? What was the expectation of crossing that hurdle?
I want to put this in context. Ali and I have been dating since 2014, right? We've lived together since 2016. And we've had a business together since 2018. And so I say all that to say we've had a lot of time together being in relation and multiple levels, right? Of being roommates, of being business partners, of just being a couple. And so our expectation was that nothing was going to change.
That's great.
That was the expectation, that it was going to be pretty much the same situation that it's always been. Mm-hmm. But, and then Ali can add this. I think Ali has definitely been stepping up his game lately. Yeah, so that was like a pleasant surprise. Like however he was already showing up, of being showing love. He knows my love languages are, his words of affirmation. I feel like he's trying to ramp that up a little bit. His love language is physical touch. I've tried to ramp that up a little bit. So I think we went in expecting nothing, and now we're trying to put a little spice on it.
Give us an example of how he's stepping it up.
That's great.
Usually, Ali is not the first one to always say "I love you." Uh-huh. And usually, I say, and he would quickly follow suit, right? But now he says he's saying it first now. I don't know. What is another good example? You have something that you've been working on?
I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a really big one.
That's not easy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been backing down a little bit quicker.
Yes, honey.
Have these changes been deliberate on your part? Have you thought about stuff, Alfonso? You're like, hey, this is maybe I feel more comfortable, or feel like, I'm accepted all the way. Like, why would you think that you're making those adjustments?
I actually did not recognize I was doing it until this morning when she pointed it out. I think it's just, one, we had a little mini moon, right? So we couldn't go on a real honeymoon because of, COVID and all the other things. So we did a mini moon. I think that got us it's rare that we're both in the same place and neither one of us is working. Mm-hmm. So we had a few days where we were together and just relaxing. I think that helped me to, shed everything else and just focus on her.
Oh, one thing we've been saying a lot is, we said that in the vows. So I think there's something about what we mentioned to each other, and that I felt like our vows were super authentic to who we are and what we're working on as a couple. Mm-hmm. That it was just a good reminder, and so we're trying to live those out, and we're saying it out loud playfully. But I think on some level we take them very serious, which is kind of good because they're vows.
That's excellent.
It's funny. I think you couldn't have gave a better answer for what do you expect different. I wasn't asked that same question, but I know in reflecting after we got married, but I remember clearly saying that nothing has changed. The week after was exactly like the week before. And that was, to me, the highest value. I wanted a 1-to-1 exchange. Not that even I wanted it, but there was no expectation that something would be different beyond this moment. This is just, another way to celebrate us and our commitment the next week, the next month, the next years were exactly the same as the ones before. Would you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I wasn't looking for anything to change. I wasn't expecting anything to change. In my mind, I think that's where you start to run into trouble when, you're thinking, okay, right after we say our vows, these are things that are going to change. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think also, like, maybe back in the day when, she'd be betrothed to me and we give her family 4 cows for her, for her ring, whatever. Then like, we never met each other or something, we're both virgins. Like, I think that's like when things are going to change, she gets married, like, or like, you carry her over the threshold of your brand new house that you just bought the day you got married or something like that. Like, those days is over. So like,
those are so over.
Yeah. I think the expectation of change should have gone away with, whatever era that was.
There was a moment on the dance floor or at the reception where the DJ asked everybody who was married to come on the dance floor. And then he would raise the number of years marriage. And as they got higher and higher, people would have to leave. And the last couple standing were your parents, Alfonso, with 50 years in the game. Cool. And I saw your dad grab your mom's butt in that moment, and it was very cool. So what are the what does the marriage mean to your respective families?
I can start. I know that my parents in particular thought it would never happen, and they were elated. Like, my dad texted me, he's been calling her Mrs. Wright since like the moment it happened, and like he's giddy about it. He's giddy about calling her.
That's so cute.
My immediate family, in particular, is just like super excited to have her be a part of our family, and to actually see the weird kid actually get married. I think that's exciting for them too. And they love Jamila from the start. So it's an easy transition.
For my family, I don't want to say it was like a general curse breaking or something, but it was the start of a different way of seeing family units for us. I come from a household where there's 4 kids and there's 3 different fathers, and my mom was never married, and no one had ever really been in marriage around us. Like, in our neighborhood, we grew up in an apartment complex, and so matrimony wasn't a staple and something that I experienced. So it was, I guess it was just like a reestablishing of what our family dynamics could look like, what it could mean. And although I felt like my mom did like a stupendous job and she's awesome, and if you meet her, you know that, there's something to be said about her not having to do it alone, right? And I'm all about like Black love and how that increases like just your wellness exponentially, and it increases like the wellness of a community exponentially. And my friends mentioned it. Like, a lot of my friends, was their first wedding, right? This was their first wedding. They felt like it exuded that just confidence and love in one another, in a very genuine way that was silly and that was serious at times, and just this back and forth of balances of different ways of being with another human being. And so I felt like for myself and my family, it was like eye-opening, like, oh yeah, we can do this too. This is interesting, Yeah.
To both of your points, you both had your nieces right there, like front row. Like they saw. They'll never unsee. Do you feel like it furthered the point?
Jamila's niece is like a year old, so she will definitely unsee this. For my nieces, you know what? I need to ask them. I don't know, what they think. Really, when I talked to them afterwards, all they said was Jamila's dress is really pretty. That was their first thought, but I didn't ask them. But they were ushers. They handed out the program. They wanted to be involved. My oldest niece, Tanaja, asked if she wanted, if we wanted her to say something during the ceremony. She's a pretty good public speaker. So, yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, I don't know, because, they come from a household with 2 parents. And
their parents
have 2 parents. So, and then on the other side, I think my sister's husband's family, they were married, but like not living together, like, that kind of thing. But so I think they might not know any better, to be honest with you, because of the close nuclear family that's on their side.
Mm-hmm.
Another piece that I want to touch on before we go is the importance of that continuity in the chain and being able to watch and ask questions from family or family friends who are ahead of us in what's to come. Do you guys have a list? Are there like elder family members and stuff that you kind of would put on your panel, your advisory panel?
You too.
We'll take it. Well, who else you got?
Well, as I just mentioned earlier, my list is short and empty. But it's really through the friendships that I've been able to acquire through Ali that we have like these married couple friends. And a lot of my friends have gone on to get married. And so there's a lot to be said in that. There's a lot of wisdom to be gained in that. But those are marriages that are like maybe 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And so, for me, I'm looking for 20 years in, 30 years in,
Listen, we're checking and asking from the 50 years,
right. We're still asking.
And the 30 years.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, not to dismiss, what goes on in 1 to 2 years of marriage, but
right.
like as people who've been living together for, a number of years now and been in business for a number of years, is like, I kind of want the OGs in the game.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. How is it working together and living together? Or I should say, working together all the time and, being married. What's that like? We know what it's like, but what is it like?
I think it's better. I think for me personally, my personality, I'm an introvert who just like will go in the corner and like ignore the world.
That's me.
B knows as well. Like if I'm especially when I'm stressed out, I'm not answering phone calls. I'm not looking at texts, and I just go in my little corner. Being that we work and live together, there's no corners to be had. We have a 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, so like it has forced me to be aware of how like kind of selfish that is, but like and how impossible it is to keep up. Right? It's like eventually you have to be in a space where other human beings are around you all the time.
Yeah.
So this kind of springboarded me maybe a couple of years, in advance to now being able to live with my wife. My wife.
Love that.
And work. Yeah. So it's been helpful.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what my open-ended questions, I don't expect you to have answers for this
That's
stuff,
funny.
but it's a thing that's like, it'll be interesting to watch your development. Mm-hmm. A couple questions ago, we heard the siren come by. Like Brooklyn is loud and congested. Brooklyn T is in the heart of Bed-Stuy, is now expanding to Atlanta. I'd be interested to see, as we track you over the years, how you guys navigate that. Do you stay in Brooklyn? Do you go elsewhere as you need more space? As if the family expands or things like that, how does that impact your decision making? So it'll be interesting to watch.
It'll be interesting to navigate. So
I agree.
I think there's going to be times where we're almost long distance again, right? And so we're preparing ourselves for that. We were long distance 2 years before moving in together, just because we're in a transitional phase, right? The Atlanta store is going to need support, and the Brooklyn and the one in Bed-Stuy is going to need support, and they're going to need it at the same time. And just physically, we can't both be in both places at the same time. So that's going to cause us to have to be apart for different moments. And I think we're ready for that. I mean, there's a goal in mind, right? This is sacrificing a little bit of time together now to be together more in the future. And we spent 2 years waking up to each other, walking to work with each other, walking from work with each other. And so people say like depositing into the bank or something. There's been a lot of depositing of time together that we can weather the distant storm.
Any advice, anything to any walking away stuff?
Yeah, advice.
Advisory.
Yeah.
You go first.
Keep asking. Like, don't. I would say you're going to walk into rooms that you're not going to be able to see the other side of. But if you try to do it in a vacuum, you're going to be less informed than asking the people who are a few steps in front of you. So we do it all the time. There's not a question that I would have that I felt like my father-in-law, my mom, my uncles, whether they navigated it well or they've learned via the pitfalls that they couldn't turn on the lights for me. And so it's an active part of my experiences, like tapping into the people who came before. So that's my advice: is keep asking. What you got?
It's kind of difficult for me to give advice on marriage because I feel like I'm still, the learner in the game. Like I said, we're not in 33 years or 50 years. So it's difficult for me to give advice on marriage. I would say continue communication, but I think you guys do that pretty well.
Stay close.
Sorry, my advice sucks right now.
Stay in touch with your friends. We love you guys.
We love you all too. Thank you for being an example. I know, Jamie, you're saying that you still feel like you're a baby in the game, but
absolutely,
you all have really set a standard for us. And so thank you for that.
Thank you. We're constant work in progress.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's healthy. Right. Don't stop working. That's exactly right.
Absolutely.